So, today I'm going to talk about, or rather discuss with you, one of the very favorite characters of little kids, that is Peter Rabbit. So, growing up, I had no idea about Peter Rabbit because, he was not part of the Indian milieu. He didn't have cartoons of his own or anything like that. So, the first real introduction to him, apart from mentions here and there somewhere in books or some novel or something, would be when I saw the movie Miss Beatrix Potter, starring Renee Zellweger. And oh my god, I fell in love with the movie. And it's about the Miss Beatrix Potter was the author of Peter Rabbit, and it's her story about her struggles to get herself published as a female author. So, and the way the movie has been picturized, it brings all her characters to life, literally. As she's doing these beautiful watercolors, the characters jump out of the page and start speaking to her, and she speaks to them. And the author is portrayed as this almost whimsical woman who's just not very practical. And I think that is the reason why she was able to create this uh, lovely little character, not just Peter Rabbit, but the entire family. So after I saw that movie, I really wanted to read the books, but somehow never got around to it till I had a baby of my own. And then I went and I found the different books for her. So the first book that I bought for my daughter was this, The Tale of a Naughty Little Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. And this is by the Pearson.com. So I am not exactly sure whether it's like it's www.peterrabbit.com. So it's got a lot of these things. I just can't be sure who has published them. So, but this was a beautiful book. This had the original artwork that is very much Beatrix Potter. So that is Mr. McGregor. Oh my gosh. So the story is pretty straightforward and how should I say, simple for kids to understand. So there's this rabbit, Peter Rabbit, and his mom tells him, don't do this, don't go to Mr. McGregor's garden because he will get angry. But of course he doesn't listen. He goes, Mr. McGregor chases him, he gets hurt. By the time he returns home, he's pretty happy to be with his mom and his three sisters, who are called Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail. Oh my god, I just love saying that name, Flopsy, Mopsy and Cottontail. So yes, so and he has this little blue coat, lovely blue new coat, which he also loses. So yes, it's a very sweet little story. And there are a lot of other characters that Beatrix Potter also created, like Jemima the duck, and then there is his friends, Peter Rabbit's friends. And so I haven't read all of them, but yes, this is the book that I have brought, and I've read it quite a bit to my little girl. So yes, then because she loved Peter Rabbit so much, I also went ahead and bought her this board book, The Further Tales of Peter Rabbit by Emma Thompson. Emma Thompson, the actress, yes. So these are based on, again, on Peter Rabbit. But I found that they're a little too big for little kids. So I am not sure at what demographic exactly this was made for, because I think this is for slightly older kids. The story is too long, it just goes on. And the illustrations are not really, as sweet as the ones, the originals. Look at Mr. McGregor and Mrs. McGregor. They don't look at all like they're supposed to. So yeah, this is nitpicking, of course, because modern I mean, the little kids might love these kind of books, but I like traditional media and I like the originals. So I'm not very fond of this style of her. Slightly, what can I say, looser kind of, looser in the sense loose watercolors. Like, while she has tried her best, the illustrator is, who is the illustrator? Eleanor Taylor. But I don't know. I prefer the originals. The story is also too complicated. He gets lost, he lands up in Scotland, and then, plays some games there, and then comes back home and, never really learns anything as usual. But it's still it's still a nice book. It can grow on you. So there are at least three books by Emma Thompson on Peter Rabbit. So I've just had this. I just bought this one, which I got off Amazon again and at a bargain. So I was very happy to get it. And then I also bought for my daughter the entire Tales of Peter Rabbit. That was a collected short story, not short story, the complete collected works. And it had all the original watercolors and stuff. I haven't read them all to her, but yes, I will eventually. So then I come to the movie. Okay, this is going to be a rant. I'm sorry. So recently, not recently, about a year or so ago, we just flipped on Amazon Prime, and there we saw Peter Rabbit. Of course, I was like, "Hey, Peter Rabbit, and would you like to see this movie?" And obviously, my daughter was, "Yes, I want to." And we started watching the movie, and oh my god, within the first 5 minutes, I was flabbergasted at what the directors or the creative team had managed to churn out. I mean, I just didn't get it. What were you trying to do? What were you trying to show or portray? So within the first 5 minutes, Peter is doing his thing. He's in Mr. McGregor's garden. All is as it should be. Mr. McGregor is chasing him. And then Mr. McGregor has a heart attack and dies. And Peter Rabbit is so happy. He's like, "I killed him." And he goes and celebrates and moves all the animals of the wood into his house and creates general ruckus. And the first thing, I just couldn't get it. I mean, I'm all for stories about taking revenge and what and what not. Yes, pretty bloodthirsty that way. But somehow here was Peter Rabbit, who's a kid, and he's celebrating killing someone. It was just a bit too much, and then the story just went from worse, 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 worse. I mean, this is not a correct sentence, all right? It just went from bad to worse. I thought I could make it something else, but no. Anyways, so they have, Mr. McGregor has a nephew who comes over to look after his house, and then, he wants to sell it off. So he's this uptight Englishman. Fine, that's done. But then there is this neighbor who stays next to Mr. McGregor, and she believes that no farmer should have gates, that animals should have right of passage. So I know this is a very British thing about, rights of passage and all for through people's lawns and fields that, human beings can walk through. But this about wild animals, so she says that even if you have a garden, you should allow the animals to come and take what they want. Now, this is somebody, she doesn't have her own garden, if you will notice, because doesn't know what it takes even to grow a little tomato in your garden. It takes 3 months. You water it every day, you look at it, nothing happens. And then, when you get that little tomato coming out, you feel so proud of yourself. And if in the middle of this, a rabbit comes and eats it off, or over here, as in my situation, it will be more appropriate to say monkeys. So it just, breaks your heart like anything, because it's so much hard work. And, that is just for small scale, us doing kitchen gardening and people who do kitchen gardening. Imagine for something like that happening to a farmer who's growing things on a large scale, for whom it's a livelihood, and wild animals come in and damage his produce. And there are people who are saying, no, 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 you should let them do whatever they want to do. What are you trying to say? I know you want to conserve nature, you want to conserve the planet and everything else. I'm for you all the time. But you cannot say that, a farmer who works so hard should leave his grains open for all kinds of animals to venture in. Yes, you have to provide an alternative. You can tell him, you could have said that, Mr. McGregor, you should grow a few carrots outside for your rabbits. You can tell him that you should let all the rabbits come in. Ah, I know, I felt very strongly about this. I come from a agricultural background, and from a state which is entirely agricultural in its major economics. So I feel for farmers, and I think it is really silly to say something like that, and try to teach this to little kids. Little kids anyway don't know where their food comes from half the time now, because they just think milk comes from a carton or whatever. So you are just creating this huge distance. You are making the farmer, the hard-working farmer, a villain here. you know so that is not correct, I think. So anyways, that is my rant. So don't see the movie, or see it and decide for yourself what you think. And I think there is also a sequel out to it now, and I just don't know what they might have done worse than that. I can't bring myself to see it, even to critique it. But yes, the original Miss Beatrix Potter is definitely a wonderful read for little ones, and it's engaging and it's sweet, and the watercolor illustrations are beautiful. Emma Thompson, of course, give it a whirl, so that maybe you will like it. You would appreciate the long stories, maybe if you have older kids. But I say a definite no to the Peter Rabbit movie. Please don't put yourself through that. So, yeah, that's it for my rant for the day. Okay, bye. Take care. See you soon, hopefully.